Welcome to The Last Living Prepper, your go-to channel for survival tips for any crisis situation. We are glad you are here. If you find our content informative, please drop a comment below or leave thumbs up. In today's video, we will be discussing Get Ready, the Guide for Times of Crisis and War by the Polish Government Center for Security. This guide consists of two parts. The first one discusses crisis and war. The second part explains what to do in an emergency. The official introduction of the guide states that the ability to cope with threat situations is an extremely important element of building a resilient society. It translates directly into the country's resilience. Therefore, the Polish Government Center for Security has been conducting education in this area for several years. Be ready! A Guide for Times of Crisis and War is the latest material prepared by the Government Center for Security. The information provided in this guide is not meant to alarm you. Instead, it aims to equip you with the tools to face uncertainty with greater confidence. Being prepared means taking responsible steps to ensure your safety and can significantly reduce the stress and anxiety associated with potential crises. By staying informed and proactive, you contribute to a safer, more resilient world for everyone. In Part 1, called Crisis and War, the guide defines crisis as a fast onset event that can threaten health, life, or society. Crisis can trigger changes for better or worse. The next discussed term is war, which is considered an armed conflict between states, nations, ethnic, or religious groups. Nowadays, war is not seen as a purely military phenomenon, but as interplay of domestic and foreign policy, economic, military, and information-related actions. The next part introduces advantages of planning, which will increase safety for you and your relatives and reduce material damage. To increase the safety of you and your relatives, you should start building resilience from the lowest level, which is family and friends. The booklet advises to talk to people with whom you live, including children, about potential threats and how to deal with them. You need to identify the safest places in the house, usually the basement, a place that is far from the windows and other frequently visited places. Agree a contact point where you will meet after an accidental separation. It should be a place which everyone will be able to reach without problems. It is very important to think ahead and prepare an evacuation backpack and home supplies to survive minimum 7 days without access to supply of water, electricity, and food. If there is a chance that you may face an emergency, it is essential to follow official information, but also remember that information can be a weapon, and you are the target. The best protection against false information and propaganda is to resist emotions and verify all news and information by asking simple and logical questions. Is the source of information reliable and available from at least 2 independent and trusted sources? Is the information available in the nationwide media? Is the information present in official communication channels of state administration, services, or state security agencies? Use more than one source to find out if the information is confirmed in at least 2 reliable sources. Observe the communication channels of state administration, law enforcement, and other services. In a crisis situation, you should receive GCFS alert messages, also known as RCB alerts, with information about the threat and further recommendations. You can also find more details about the event on the website gov.plrcb and on RCB social media profiles. During crisis or war, phone communication may be limited or might not work. Listen to the radio and wait for announcements from the services, media, and RCB alert. In emergency, call 112. Limit your calls to friends, family, and friends. If you want to inform others that you are safe, send a text message instead. Emergency warnings, alarm signals, and warning messages are transmitted using different means, including mainstream media, civil defense sirens, megaphones, and even church bells. Civil defense siren is used when you hear modulated sound lasting 3 minutes. On radio and TV, you will hear the announcement repeated 3 times. Attention, attention, announcing alarm. A yellow triangle is used as a visual signal. After hearing or seeing the emergency warning, immediately stop whatever you do. Turn off equipment, gas, and electricity connections. Turn on the radio and set it to the local station. If possible, follow the information on the Government Center for Security website. Follow the instructions provided by authorities and services. When danger is over, civil defense siren will sound constantly for 3 minutes. Radio and TV will 3 times announce, "Attention, attention." Cancellation of the alarm. What to do afterwards. Return to your activities and previous location. Ventilate the room and replenish the supplies required for sealing doors and windows. Follow the instructions provided by authorities and services. Despite the different methods and techniques used to send an alarm or warning message, there may be situations in which your relatives or neighbors are still not aware of the emergency. That is why you should get in touch with relatives who may be in the danger zone. Inform neighbors and people who may not be aware of the risk. Help in any possible way by offering shelter or provide transportation. When considering crisis and war, remember about preparing an evacuation kit in advance. It will help you during the first days away from home. Each member of the household should have a separate bag-out bag, ready to be taken when needed. Make sure you have everything you need. Your goal is to survive 1 week without access to basic utilities. In your emergency kit, you should have battery-powered radio and spare batteries, torch and spare batteries, important documents such as identity card, apartment ownership certificate, land and mortgage register entries, basic medical information, insurance certificate, birth, marriage and death certificates, certificates of pensions and income, plus flash drive with scans of the documents. All the documents and the flash drive need to be stored in a waterproof Ziploc bag. Further down the list is whistle, lighter or matches, respiratory or protective masks, printed map with local roads, compass, GPS, can opener, meals for 2 days, pencil and notebook, spoon, knife and fork. You may also include raincoat, first aid kit with paracetamol, ibuprofen, drugs against diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, electrolytes, thermometer, tweezers, dressings, gases, thermal foil, plasters, bandages, chemical plasters, sleeping bag, rubbish bags, change of clothes, soap, disinfecting gel. Add to the kit combination pliers, small crowbar, multifunction tool, cash in small denominations, filter bottle with a new filter, piece of string, zip ties. It would be ideal if you could prepare separate sets for home, work, and car. The next thing discussed in the guide is shelter and stock preparedness. You may have limited access to water or face water shortage. That is why storing 14 liters of water for each inhabitant of the house will allow you to survive for 1 week. Emergency food supplies must be kept in a cool, dry, and dark place. Products that require refrigeration and long cooking is not recommended. Prepare products with a long expiry date that can be eaten cold or easily reheated. Canned food. Ready meals such as meatballs or beans, dry bread, protein bars. In case of an emergency, go to the safest place in the building. Take shelter indoors, away from any windows and doors. Next, you need to think of how to plan your evacuation. Keep extra fuel and store the fuel in the garage if that is possible. If you cannot stockpile and you suspect that you will have to evacuate soon, fill up your car at the nearest station. Be sure you have a spare wheel and know how to replace it. The GPS system and GSM apps may not be working. Get ready printed maps. Plan primary and backup routes. Choose with your family a meeting point to which you will go in the event of an accidental separation. Before evacuation, wear comfortable clothing such as a jacket, thick-soled shoes, and a hat. Put on cargo pants and wear several layers of clothing. Avoid brown, green, and camo. You may be taken for a soldier. Take the emergency backpack prepared in advance, and if you do not have one, prepare it. Secure your home before leaving. Turn off the water and gas valves. Disconnect all electric appliances. Turn off power supply. Remove products from the refrigerator and freezer. Lock the doors and windows. If you are late for last organized transport from the evacuation site, go on foot. When you choose to evacuate, travel with your family in single car. You will reduce the risk of separation. During the evacuation, follow the orders of the services that are in charge of the evacuation. Take the routes recommended by services. Be very careful when you drive on bridges. Do not stop under high voltage lines. Choose well-known roads instead, unknown roads and roads near important infrastructure. In this part, we are going to discuss what to in a case of an emergency. Firstly, be careful who you talk to. It is important to be surrounded by people who you trust. Watch out for people who are acting suspiciously and trying to gain your trust or gain sensitive information, for example about security in the region, or where do you work. If that is the case, inform the services and the military about suspicious individuals, situations, and behaviors. What to do when you hear gunshots. The most important thing is to move away from the attacker's line of fire. Ran as far as possible, take cover and inform others if you can. In situation where you can't escape, hide. Make use of the terrain and available obstacles. Walls, metal structures, furniture, doors. Mute your phone, close and barricade doors, lower the blinds and turn off the lights. Keep calm. Remember, avoid hiding in large groups. The group may be easily spotted. Fight when the escape and hiding is out of option. Use all your strengths and advantage. Don't be afraid to hurt your attacker. You may save yourself and others. The preventative action in the case of explosion is to identify the best shelter in frequently visited places. Work, school, home. For shelter, you need a place with thick walls, no windows, but air access. The basement is usually the safest place. Prepare the emergency kit and be ready to evacuate. If there is a chance that explosion may happen in the area where you are currently staying, fall to the ground and cover head with your hands. Find shelter. Do not leave shelter immediately. Help the injured to evacuate to a safe place. Do not use the elevators, but emergency staircases and exits. CBRN is an abbreviation for weapons of mass destruction: chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear agents. The most serious and the most common effect associated with exposure to any CBRN substance can be severe disease or sudden death. Chemical agents can be used in a form gas, solid or liquid. Depending on their components and properties, they can either be close to the ground or float in the air. This type of weapon has a very wide spectrum of effects and is fatal in most cases due to its high toxicity and corrosiveness. When you come into the contact with the chemical agent, protect the respiratory tract and skin. Leave the contaminated area as soon as possible. Move in the opposite direction to the wind. Next, take a shower and put on clean clothes. If you are inside a building or a house, seal the windows, doors, and air vents. Don't go outside, stay indoors. Biological agents. The infection caused by bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, or toxins occurs mainly through inhalation, eating, eyes, and contact with irritated skin. Most often it ends in death. If you know or suspect that the biological weapon has been used, leave the contaminated area as soon as possible. Protect the respiratory system and skin. Use a respiratory mask if possible. Take a shower and put on clean clothes. Stay indoors, turn off fans and air conditioners, close windows and doors. Nuclear radiation, also called ionizing radiation, is energy released as high-speed charged particles or electromagnetic waves. When nuclear radiation is used as a weapon, it damages the structure of genes and causes cancer. It can get into your body through respiratory system or by eating food exposed to the radiation. To protect yourself from the radiation, hide in a place with thick walls such as basement, shelter, underground, car park, or subway. Stay away from external walls. If you have been the contaminated area, take a shower and put on clean clothes. Safely dispose the dirty clothes. Put them in a plastic bag and take them away from the place you are. Remember, don't drink or eat anything that may be contaminated. Stay indoors for at least 24 hours unless otherwise instructed by authorities. Listen to the announcements of the authorities, services, and the media. Follow instructions. Seal the door and windows. Turn off fans and air conditioners. Seal vents. During a crisis or war, the power shortage may occur. Prepare an alternative power supply. A generator with fuel reserve will ensure long-term access to electricity. Make a list of the most needed things powered by electric batteries, and prepare a set of matching batteries. Have on hand battery-powered radio, a torch, candles, matches or lighter, first aid kit, and food supplies that do not require electricity for cooking. Cash also may be an essential item to help you survive. Use portable garden barbecue for food preparation and as a heat source. If you come across an armed group of people in your area that do not look like Polish Army or Allied forces, stay calm, change direction, and choose an alternative route. Do not expose yourself to unnecessary contact. Do not get close to foreign military cars. Do not look at any of the military equipment. Don't take any pictures, and don't record foreign soldiers. The foreign army may take you for a spy. If the foreign soldier wants to check your documents, comply with the request and hand them over. Don't argue with an armed person. Stand still and follow the instructions. In case of a temporary occupation of the area by foreign troops, follow the introduction of new rules. Stock up on water, fill bottles, pots, and even bathtub. Stock up the non-perishable food. Even if the local store has been destroyed, you can still find food there. Don't go out unnecessarily after dusk. Wear clothes in neutral colors. In the situation when you are held captive, accept the situation you are in and prepare to wait. Don't get upset and don't panic. The first 45 minutes are the critical, and you have one goal: to stay alive. Follow the kidnapper's instructions. Don't try to make a conversation and reply politely. Keep an eye contact and don't turn your back. Eat what is offered, sleep and rest when you can. Escape when you are sure it will be successful. When you have to administer first aid, stay calm and check if it is safe around you. Your safety is priority. Find out how many people are injured and what injuries they have. Call for help. If there are other people present at the scene, ask the specific person to help you. Assess the situation. If the injured person is conscious, ask what happened. Determine whether the situation requires professional medical attention. If the emergency service is not available, you need to help the injured person. If the person is unconscious, you must call 112 immediately. After getting connected with 112 number, provide the following information: location of the incident, number of injured people, type of injuries, and your name. Do not hang up until instructed to do so by the dispatcher. Start giving the first aid. Course of action when administering first aid: check if the victim is conscious. Approach the victim and gently shake his/her shoulders, asking loudly, "Can you hear me?" If the injured person reacts and is conscious, leave him/her in the same position if nothing threatens him and monitor his condition. If the injured person is unconscious, place him and her flat on back. Clear the airways. Place one hand on the victim's forehead and the other on the jaw, and gently tilt head back. In situation where the person is breathing, put him/her in the recovery position. Take one hand of the injured person closer to your side and place it at an angle of 90 degrees. The opposite hand of the injured person is clasped with his own, putting it to the cheek of the injured person closer to your side. With your other hand, grasp the injured under the knee. Bend the leg without taking the injured person foot off the ground. Keeping your hand next to the cheek of the injured person, pull the knee towards you to put the injured person on their side. Tilt the victim's head back to keep the airway open and facilitate breathing, and the leg place at an angle of 90. If the victim is not breathing, proceed to cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Remember, 30 chest compression and 2 rescue breaths. That is all from the last living prepper about Get Ready, the guide for times of crisis and war by the Polish Government Center for Security. We discussed in great detail Part 1, which outlines planning, family resilience, false information, emergency warnings, announcing and canceling an alarm, care about others, evacuation pack, shelter and evacuation. In Part 2, the guide explains what to do in a case of an emergency and discusses why you need to be careful who you talk to, what to do while hearing the gunshots and explosion, what to do when attack by chemical, biological, or nuclear weapons is expected, getting ready for power shortages and temporary occupation by foreign army, the hostage situation, and administering first aid. We hope you find this video informative and helpful. Stay tuned for more information. Till next time.